I used to be normal, you know. I used to go for walks. I used to buy the occasional video game at the store. What I'm trying to say is, I have a problem. So if you're looking all around me, you can see that I'm doing another collection video, which if you were on the Discord, then you probably knew that quite a while ago. I wanted to get this out a little bit sooner, but I've had a lot going on lately. But here we are, and I've noticed that since the last collection video we did, which was all the way back a year ago almost, so I'm pretty sure we actually just passed up the 1 year anniversary of me doing this channel, so I may put out a video talking about that soon, so keep your eye open for that. But anyway, I noticed that the collection has grown. It's grown a lot. I don't think that's a shocker. I've had more incentive over the last year to buy more, mostly because I'm doing the channel and I like the cover sets that are relatively new, or that I'm just interested in, or I'm trying to complete a series or whatever. But I thought it would be fun to go ahead and do another collection video, and this one is going to be a two-parter. So in this part we're going to be looking at this, and over the next part we're going to be taking a look at the shelf and all of the cases that are on that. So the shelf, which I'm talking about the Commander Quarter, it has quite a big population on its own. Pretty much everything here is what is reserved to my closet, so it hides in there with me. But anyway, like I said, most of this stuff is mostly stuff out of storage, so I did an awkward pause in that last collection video too, and I hate it. If you watch the video, you'll know what I'm talking about. I do this really awkward pause. It's been haunting me for the last year because that video has almost 40,000 views, so yeah. But anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at these tubs. I'm gonna basically go through them. The smaller ones are pretty much all the same stuff, so I'm basically just gonna take a sample from each tub just so you have an idea what is mostly in the tub. In the last video, I mostly just grabbed up a handful, was like real lazy, like, oh yeah, there's army men in here, if you can't tell already. But this time I actually kind of want to sample out each little bit of tub. So without further ado, I'm gonna read this letter.
Got a letter, we just got a letter, we just got a letter, wonder who it's from.
So I got a letter. I really enjoy reading letters from you guys, whether it's an email or a really nice comment, and I got one printed out right here. I just wanted to read. This one's from Boogie Bear 226. So let's see here. Dear the Plastic Commander, how do you deal with the weight of the sins that you've committed? I have trouble sleeping every single day because of everything in my life that I've done wrong. It weighs very heavily on me, and every single night that I try to close my eyes for slumber, it is an uphill battle which I cannot win. And many days and many nights I feel like I am but Sisyphus without the enjoyment of pushing the boulder up the hill. This has become quite a burden for me, and the reason I'm asking you for this advice is because every time I look into the darkness of your eyes, I am greeted with a familiarity in which I see within myself. So I feel like if any YouTuber or anyone that I know in my life would have an answer for this question, it would be you. That's a really good question, Boogie Bear, and in short, the answer for that would probably just be melatonin.
Tan troops, led by Field Marshal Tannenberg, retreat in the face of a crushing green onslaught. The capture of the elusive Tannenberg will mean the surrender of the Tan Army and restore freedom to our world.
So the first tub we're going to be looking at is the green tub. So this one probably weighs a good 50 pounds. And this is not all of my green Army men. Of course, there's plenty on the shelf, but I also have another box as well that's about 10 pounds of just nothing but greens, but that also includes a lot of vehicles, as well as I have some in this box right here, which we'll get to in a minute. Basically, this box right here, I call it processing. So whenever I get a bunch of Army Mid orders or a lot of different random ones, I just throw them all together in one box, and then later when I get a chance, I sort them all out. But I've been real bad about not processing them lately. But anyway, so here is the green tub. So I'm going to go ahead and pull a quick sample out of here just so y'all can see and have an idea of what this is made of. So in this little sample I have here, or I guess not so little, this is about 30 figures. So just real quick, I have some of these Hing Fat guys, the World War II ones. I also have the old style ones in there as well, although I didn't want to fish any out. I also have some Ring Hand NPC figures. So these are real cool. I don't have any of the weapons though, or any of the helmets or belts. In fact, I think I have one helmet, and that is it. Towards the back, some Leonard Decor, or Decor, however you pronounce it. So Leonard made Decor, which was an action figure line from the 90s to the 2010s. You could find them at Walmart. They were kind of just like knockoff G.I. Joes. They were a big part of my childhood, definitely. I loved the action figures, but I kind of grew out of toys. I was a teenager by the time they released these figures, which are Army Men, which I absolutely loved these. You can't find them in stores anymore, but you can find them online. So definitely, I'm probably going to pick one of those up just to do a review on it. Of course, since we're talking about Walmart, I got plenty of Imperial figures, so not only the knockoff Timmy figures, but I also have the other Imperial figures they did, so like, you know what I'm talking about. Anyone in the Army Men community, the ones that look real modern, like Desert Storm, that's one of them right there. And speaking of Imperial, I also have these. So these guys right here, these were sold at the dollar store for a very short period of time, and they're really, really cool. The only thing about them is that they're super flat. So, but they're still fairly decently detailed, and I bought a big majority of them whenever I found them, just because I had a feeling they wouldn't be around long, and I was right. So I also got some Lido figures right here. These aren't vintage Lido, although I do have some, but yeah, I got a good selection of Lido, and I also have some vintage Timmy. Just gonna drop it right there, forget it, because I'm doing this fast. So vintage Timmy, got plenty of that, and of course I have some Sunny Days Entertainment figures. So these are relatively new. In fact, these are the ones Walmart sells now. So if you went to Walmart recently and you found the Army Men in the bucket, that's what these are. But those are clones of the Sunny Days Army Men. And if you put 2 and 2 side by side, which I want to do a video on those as well, you'll realize the difference in quality is pretty staggering. So, but anyway, just to round out what I have in my green collection, also have plenty of BMC figures, so Mark's clone, or Mark's reproductions, Toy Army Women, the Japanese, and Russians, which I have one Russian right here. So a big variety for a really big tub. So that's probably the biggest tub, so let's move on to another one. So right over here, just to kind of go through this one real quick, so this is my red and pink. So, of course, we have some red Russian soldiers in here and pink Timmy soldiers. Those are the only pink Toy Army Men I have. We also have red Toy Army Women. I have the Toy Army Women in almost every color. They're really, really nice, high quality. And, of course, Leonard Decor. So, Leonard made them in 3 different colors. Red. And there goes my dryer. But yeah, Leonard, like I was talking about earlier, their sets came in 3 different colors. So you had red, tan, and green, I believe. So really, really cool. You don't get a whole lot of red Army Men. That's why this box is so small. But right here, here's a vehicle. Looks like a mech that came with the Leonard Decor set. So And of course, got a little bit of Galaxy Laser Team mixed here as well. I actually have a tub just for space, which we're going to look at here in a moment. But I'm not going to really do a sample because what I just showed you was pretty much everything in here. So we got a lot of BMC, Toy Army women, firemen as well. We got a lot of firemen in here. But yeah, really, really cool. And I also have these rust-colored Timmy figures as well. So let's move on to the next one.
By land, by sea, and by air. The Tan Army launched a surprise attack against unsuspecting neighboring nations. They leave in their wake a path of destruction, the likes of which have never been seen.
So, as we soldier on, we have the second biggest tub, which is the tan tub. So, I got a lot of really cool stuff in here, and it's very similar to the green tub and everything I have, but I'm going to go ahead and get a sample out of here real quick. We got an Airfix knockoff tank. So, real quick, this tub is probably also roughly 50 pounds, if I had to guess, carrying it out across my apartment. But yeah, let me go ahead and pull out a quick sample so y'all can have some idea of what this tub is mostly made of. So mixed into these bigger tubs are mostly a lot of my C-tier Army men and lower. So like you're seeing a lot of dollar store stuff, a lot of Walmart, even lower tier BMC figures are usually in here. In the next video, we're going to be going over a lot of my higher quality stuff. So just hang in there, because this one's real similar to the green tub with a few differences. So in this tub, we have some NPC Germans. So really cool. It's really nice that we get these in tan. So these were remade by BMC. BMC does remakes of Marks and NPC and Lido and a lot of those other classic Toy Army companies. And we also have some tan Galaxy Laser Team, which is really nice. I don't think Timmy originally made them in tan and olive drab, but we did go ahead and get them from BMC, so hats off to BMC. And I also have more of the Imperial modern soldiers. So these were sold by Walmart for years, and I mean like almost 2 decades. In fact, I just got a lot that I picked up at the flea market that I'm going to do another episode of Thrifted on, so stay tuned for that in the future. And I actually found some really old ones that were a different color from what they sold recently, so I thought that was really interesting. But other than that, of course, we have the obligatory Airfix knockoffs in here. So I got this guy along with 999 others from a big purchase off of Amazon. So Amazon for a while sold this big bag of 1,000 figures in gray, tan, and green, and it was all Airfix clones, and it was a really good deal. It was about $25 plus shipping, but they don't sell it anymore. Of course, we got Timmy reproductions, which I have some vintage Timmy scattered throughout here as well as Toy Army women. Here's one crouching, and another BMC soldier, this time a Marine. So you can get these in green and tan. The tan ones are a little harder to find, but I think they've started selling them again. I know there was a period of time where they weren't, as well as some BMC Japanese soldiers. So these soldiers are really nice quality, these and the Marines, especially when compared to like the D-Day set, which if you're in the Armyman community, you know that that set's notorious for not being that decent or that good quality. But yeah, I have some of those in there as well. And lastly, what I wanted to talk about were these guys. So these guys are sold by Classic Toy Soldiers, and they're real rubbery. They're a much more rubbery plastic, and basically the whole set is Airfix and Marks clones, but in tan and gray. And I've got some more of them over in the gray tub, but I just wanted to show these two off because I found them towards the top. But yeah, this is a really cool set. I was probably going to get some more of these, actually, just because I really, really like them. They're really good quality, very chunky, and they're not that expensive. They're only like $12 a bag, which is a good deal. But anyway, that's a sample from the tan tub, very similar to the green, just in tan. So another tub that definitely needs processing. Again, mostly those Airfix, or not Airfix, Arby's and plastic figures that I picked up with some scattered vehicles. We got a BMC boat, which I got off of the eBay lot. And I also got a couple of these RDA Scorpion gunships, which these were sold with the new Avatar movie that came out, and I really like them. I've been buying them on clearance because they didn't sell too well, but if you're a fan of Army Men, they're perfect for Army Men. So towards the bottom, we mostly got more greens, more greens. So I got a lot of vintage NPC scattered through here as well. I got a bunch of these from Classic Toy Soldiers. They actually sell them fairly cheap, but yeah, that's pretty much this tub right here. Just NPC, vintage figures, and random Arby's in plastics nonsense, as well as a few vehicles. So this tub is probably about 15 pounds, not too heavy, but I'm not going to do a sample from it because it's just so random. So moving over to the small stuff, we have these 6 tubs, and these are a mix of Wild West, Civil War, and American Revolution figures. So I'm going to take a sample that's basically a little bit of all of these, and we're going to take a quick look at it. So upon looking at the tubs, it appears that I have quite a large selection of everything as far as these are concerned. So I went ahead and I'm going to split them up in talking about the soldiers and talking about the actual cowboys and Indians that make up both of these. So first we'll talk about the soldiers. So I have everything from Revolutionary War, we have some Spanish-American War thrown in here, I believe, unless the Spanish-American War stuff is a little bit more spread out in the other tubs. And we also have some Alamo figures. So I got the clones of the BMC Alamo set, and I have the actual BMC figures. These are also some of the goofier BMC figures. They aren't super great. I saw a bag of them at the hobby shop recently, and I passed up on them just because they really, to me, aren't worth it. But I do have some clones and some actual BMC Revolutionary War figures, and the way you can tell is the plastic. These clones, which this is also from the same maker of the Civil War clones, which I have scattered throughout here. The plastic's a lot harder, it's not nearly as soft, it's a lot more solid. And then of course the BMC figures, which this guy looks like he came out of a drawing from 1771 of the Boston Massacre. On top of that, I have some clones of some vintage Lido Civil War figures, so that's really cool. And of course, I have some Arby's in plastic and BMC mixed in here. So this is one of the guys I got in that lot of 800, and this is from the BMC Civil War playset, which I have some more of those scattered throughout as well. Here's another guy holding a flag, which these are just reskins of the Battle of San Juan Hill Spanish-American War set. So here's another BMC Civil War guy, and I really like these guys right here. I love how long their muskets are. It just looks like it can be so powerful if fired. But I also have some clones of the BMC figures. So the company that makes these clones have been making them since the 90s. In fact, I grew up with them, and I was real shocked when I went to my local hobby store and found them again. But I'm sure it's a real popular item, especially for kids who may be making dioramas for class or whatever. But I also have some vintage NPC Civil War Union soldiers. So these are really nice. I picked them up at the flea market about 2 years ago now, and they're a real big part of my collection. I really enjoy them. In fact, I did a video on those, so definitely check that video out. And I also have a few reproductions of some vintage Marks Civil War figures. I have these in gray as well, and Classic Toy Soldiers makes these reproductions, so definitely pick them up from there. They also sell them in light blue as well, so really nice. The plastic is very similar to the plastic of those other figures from CTS I showed you, but yeah, I really like these a lot. So I won't spend too much time on my Wild West stuff because I did 2 videos specifically on my entire Wild West collection, but just real quick we'll glance over the variety that I have. So I have a bunch of these larger 1/28 scale, I believe, Timmy figures. These were made in the late 60s, early 70s, and then eventually Timmy started just knocking off Airfix, and they made these Airfix clones right here. So this isn't an actual Timmy Airfix clone, this is actually a clone of a clone, and I talk more about that in my video. So essentially, Timmy started cloning what Airfix was making, their Wild West figures, and then Chinese companies that were already copying Timmy just copied those. So a clone of a clone. I also have some reproduction Marks Pioneer figures. So to get your hands on some actual Pioneer figures by Marks is quite a decent amount of money. And towards the back, some of my favorite Wild West figures that I've gotten are these Native American figures made by Arby's in Plastic, and these are more East Coast Native Americans, so I can't remember what tribe specifically, but those are really, really cool. I also have these really tiny, kind of sucky clones of Ideal figures. These are vintage, probably from the 1980s, that are made by that Hong Kong company that also copied Airfix. Everyone just copies Airfix. I also have these clones right here, which I do not know. Oh, everything's falling. I do not know who made these for the life of me, but they're really nice copies of the Marks 6-inch Wild West figures. So, and of course, to round it out, I have some MPC Wild West figures. I picked these up at a antique store probably about a year ago, and these are really, really nice, and I really, really like these. So I have a bunch of them. They're not too hard to find, so if you want to start your vintage Wild West collection, that's a good place to start. And of course, lastly, I just forgot him, but I do have some vintage Marks Johnny Tremaine Revolutionary War figures. They're kind of beat up. Most of them are missing the fronts of their rifles, but yeah, I do have them. So just so you guys have some kind of idea of the living hell that I'm going through, here's the table. There's those, and here's all of this. And I'm in right in the center of it all. So I'm going to squeeze in here. So in this tub, which this is probably the smallest tub, only at about 10 pounds, I mostly just have my white and my gray. So there is a Airfix figure right there. So I'm going to grab a quick sample out of this, but yeah, pretty much just Germans, Germans, War Armies in Plastic, BMC, True Heroes, and whatnot. So let me grab a quick sample so we can take a look at these. So finally, the last tub we'll be taking a look at, just real quick, is the gray and white tub, which is mostly comprised of German soldiers. So, as well as gray Timmy and BMC figures. So, of course, I have the Timmy figures. I have them in pretty much every color, except some of the more out there ones, like purple. I do have them in yellow, though. I have vintage yellow Timmy figures, but I do have some gray True Heroes figures. So, these were made by a knockoff Chinese company, because True Heroes never made the figures in gray. So, these were sold at the dollar store for a short period of time, a long, long time ago in the 2000s. But anyway, and if you ever get some of these, which I'd recommend, I really like them, make sure you get the ones with the base that's like this, because they stand up better than these, which is completely flat. Some of these that are completely flat will have a plastic line of flashing going through them, and it makes it really hard for them to stand up. So, just a quick tip for anyone who wants to go after those. Of course, if you saw my video on the Hing Fat Bucket, going over it, where I compared both the old one and the new one, of course you'll recognize these Matchbox clones right here. This guy's an original figure from that set. I really, really like this radio operator a whole lot. And of course, I have some white U.S. paratroopers. So these are Airfix figures. I also have some knockoffs of these that are gray, and I really, really like them. Or not gray, green. Sorry. I think white's actually not a very fitting color, and I think the only reason these are white is just because Airfix expects you to paint them, but they don't use that standard for their other figures. Their other figures are normally just different colors that are more befitting of what they are. Like their regular US soldiers are olive drab, so these would be nice if they were olive drab. Just kind of like how the German Airfix figures are both blue to paratroopers and the regular infantry. Speaking of, I do have some knockoff Airfix figures. So this one was made by that one Hong Kong company that knocked off Airfix back in the 80s. I do have some BMC figures, more of the Germans. These were the ones I was talking about, so I'm going to do a review of these one day and just kind of how goofy they are. I think that's really the only applicable word. They're super cartoony and just not in a good way. And of course, this is a Marks clone from that one bag I was telling you about, the tan section. So definitely pick up a couple of these bags. These are really nice figures. I really, really like them. Even though they are clones, they're really cheap, and it's a really good way to get some of those poses if you really, really want them. But yeah, that's pretty much the gray figures, just like the other tans and greens, except mostly it's a lot heavier on the Germans. Make sure you keep your eye open for part 2 to this collection video, where we will be taking a look at the Commander Quarter shelf, as well as a few more high dollar pieces from Toy Soldiers of San Diego, Vintage Marks, and Mars. So make sure you keep your eye open for that. Thanks.
Mission accomplished. Well done, man. Pack it up. We're going home.